Now, how do we analyze data using themes? First, you have to read the data, transcribe, you keep on reading, be familiar with the data, with the empirical data that you have gathered. And you have to take note. That's why I mentioned a while ago. Use Excel file. You take note of the possible codes or possible meaning units that will represent the data that you have gathered. So I think we need a 5-minute break. Okay, 5 minutes lang for me to rest for a moment. Is it okay? 5-minute break. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank
So you have to familiarize yourselves, now, particularly to the data that you have gathered. Keep on reading, keep on describing the words, and then try to use the best possible word or coined words that will represent the sentence, okay, or the line by line. We call it line by line coding, sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, or phrase by phrase. So there is a possibility in one sentence, you can represent that into maybe 2 to 3 codes or meaning units. Then it's okay. Eventually, you will choose the best, no, the best codes or the best meaning units that will represent that sentence or paragraph. And then you generate initial codes, organize your data in a meaningful and systematic way by using Excel file. I'll show you an example for you to see. For a moment, Excel file. Let's use Excel file. Mhm. You have to organize, no, the data that you have gathered. So as you can see here, this is the codes. Can you see the Excel file now?
Yes, Doc. Yes po, Doc.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. So this is the interview transcript. Participant one, all the answers of the party. This is the start, no, the initial coding, initial identification of the meaning units. So participant one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9. This is actually what I did when I had my dissertation writing, grounded theory, and then I used constant comparison method. 14, 16, 17. Imagine I had to interview 17 participants before reaching saturation point in the Philippines, no? Philippine North Province. And then these are the initial codes. So it would be better to organize the data that you have in order for you not to be confused, especially when you are now about to categorize the codes, because eventually you'll from the initial codes from all the meaning units, these initial codes or meaning units, because we are talking about thematic analysis, what you need to do is to look for similarities, no, and then categorize them into one. This is just the initial from all the participants that you have interviewed. So use Excel file. So coding reduces lots of data into small chunks of meaning. The transcript, napakahaba niyan. Maybe it could be 2 to 3 pages, no, after conducting an interview. And if you have conducted it to 7 participants, then there are so many sentences, paragraphs, or phrases. So you have to reduce them in order for you to identify, reduce them inductively in order for you to identify the themes. And then take note that you are concerned with addressing specific research questions. Do not forget, the first example that I've shown a while ago is actually focused on the research question. So the research, this is your question, and then the research question, you identify the answers of your participants to the research question. But of course, from the transcript, now you transcribe and then you write it, the research question, you write the research question, and then you type as well the answers of the participants because that's what you want to answer. And the themes and the sub-themes that will be identified should answer the question, the research question. Okay? And then analyze the data with this in mind. Okay? So this was a theoretical thematic analysis rather than an inductive one. Okay? Take note. Theoretical thematic analysis rather than inductive one. A while ago, I'm saying it should be inductive. Okay? But if you would be focusing on the research questions, then that would now become theoretical thematic. For inductive, as explained a while ago, you have to consider all the data that you have gathered, and then you will come up with one core category, and that would be the purpose of constant comparison method, inductive. So again, I am actually talking about two types here: constant comparison method and thematic analysis. I am actually differentiating them while explaining thematic analysis in order for you not to be confused later on. But the danger here is this: when you are analyzing the data from theoretical thematic analysis, because you are actually focusing on the specific research questions, in identifying the theme, it will still be inductive by nature. You start with the transcript and then the codes or the meaning units, and from the meaning units, you will categorize in order for you to identify the sub themes and then eventually identify the theme. Okay, don't forget. Then you search now for the themes, as I mentioned a while ago. The theme will represent the sub themes. I hope you can imagine because I've already shown you an example. And then after that, keep on reading. So from codes to sub themes to themes. For the template in FAU Roosevelt, from meaning units to sub themes to themes. And then finally you will explain. So that would be the last step. It should be predominantly descriptive. You should be describing the patterns in the data relevant to the research questions that you have included. Again, do not represent the answer of the participants based on your understanding or your perception. You have to describe based on their experiences in order for you to avoid bias and threats to internal validity of the themes or sub-themes. Now, how do we analyze data using themes? Review the themes. No? Do the themes make sense? Does the data support the themes? The data, we are referring to the transcript of the interview, the transcribed data. Am I trying to fit too much into a theme? Do not force through. Okay? It should be the word or the coin words that will really represent the data that you have gathered. If themes overlap, are they really separate themes, or maybe you can combine them? Maybe there is a theme that will represent the two themes because they are not actually themes. Are there themes within themes or sub themes? Of course, there will always be sub themes because you cannot proceed with the themes without sub themes. Are there other themes within the data? Yes, no? Always. Then define the themes. This is now very important. What is the theme saying? You have to explain, you have to define. because that theme will now explain or will now answer the questions that you have stated in your research. If there are sub-themes, how do they interact and relate to the main theme? So a while ago, I've shown you an example. Hmm, the word file here. Okay, you should know that the sub-themes interact with the theme. As you can see here in table 1. Hope you can see. Can you see now the word file?
Yes.
Are you still with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes
baka
po,
wala na.
Doc.
Yes, yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yan. Work adjustments. So this is actually this is actually the theme. And and these are the sub themes. Make sure that the sub themes are really related to the theme. You will explain that. You will define how are they related. So work adjustments, the sub themes, changes in the workplace, psychosocial adjustments, feelings of anxiety and stress, challenges in the delivery of the guidance services. So these are the sub themes. You will now explain how are they related. So I will upload examples of how do we explain the themes and then the sub themes. Yan. And then finally, the last step is actually to write the writing phase. It's very important. So this would be an example of thematic map. There are overlapping. I'm sorry for the example. No, this is just the best example that I can see in the internet. No, in order for me not to prepare an outline like this. But as you can see here, there are overlapping sub themes and subcategories. But it's just okay. Eventually, you will just choose the best fit for your research question. And this is now the final. This is the start. At the start, very complicated. There are overlapping themes and sub themes. Then eventually, you would be able to finalize that there will only be two themes and there are sub themes based on the question that you have stated. And then after finalizing the themes and then the sub themes, you will now write, you will now explain the relationship and then look for possible literature that will support the the themes and then the sub themes, which is actually the result of your research, the end point, the end point of your qualitative research. You will now report based on your analysis. Okay, so that's thematic analysis. As for the constant comparison method, since it has been an hour na I am discussing, I think this would be discussed next meeting. As you don't need to do this assignment, there will be stages that will be discussed for constant comparison. But since you are already familiar with open coding, then it would be easier for you. This is a more complicated data analysis for interview because it is inductive by nature. It will not be focused on the research question. That means considering all the answers of the participants, you will build theory. So rule of thumb, it could be one core category only or two at most, but it should be one. We are considering two, but in grounded theory, should only be one core category, which are related to the subcategories, higher level categories and lower level categories. Questions or clarifications? Charmaine?
Good afternoon po, Doc.
Afternoon.
In Canvas po, you uploaded sample thesis, right, sir?
Mm-mm.
But I noticed they were both quantitative. May I ask po for those also
Yeah,
who will
qualitative.
be doing
Yeah.
phenomenological research? Thank
Sure,
you
sure.
po.
I'm actually looking for the best because some of the examples, there are still corrections. But anyway, sample lang naman siya. I'll upload. I'll look for the best, no? Because we can't upload the final copy, no? The final copy.
Thank you po, Doc.
Yeah, sure. Anyway, I asked the permission of my advisees to upload their thesis. Doc, preset code has been established based on SOP? No, no, no. Because if it is preset code, then that means you've already provided the codes, and it's not actually from the participants, and there is bias. So don't forget na if you are not very sure with thematic analysis, better for you to ask help from thematician and or a statistician for quantitative research. But I am teaching you this in order for you to have a background because eventually after graduating, after your master's degree, you should be an expert, no, particularly in research. The graduate students will also be tapping you to validate their questionnaires, diba? To validate their qualitative data analysis when they do phenomenological research. Kasi nga, you are already a graduate of master's degree and maybe you would be having a position in your school. Then the undergrad students, even the graduate students who are still having their master's degree, they would be tapping you as expert. So you should know also. One of the examples also, in order for you to know how to assess or evaluate research in education, you go back to the research analysis that we did. The research questions or the questions that I've included are the questions that you should be asking yourself when you are evaluating research, no, particularly research in education. So that's qualitative data analysis. That's thematic analysis. If you will be opting for phenomenological research, you should know thematic analysis. So I think there are no more questions, and I thank you for that. No, I just would like to really rest my throat. So sige. So if there are other questions, Christian, so
Yes, I have.
I'm glad to answer that. But I
Okay,
really would like to rest. No, sige.
a very short.
Okay.
I have a short question.
Yeah, sure,
Could
sure.
we discuss after this my research title? I would like to change it. I sent you an email in the inbox, Canvas, but you didn't reply.
I did
Could we?
not reply yet. Oh yeah, because we don't have class now last time. So
Hmm.
I usually reply every Saturday. You can make use of our Teams. You can use the chat box, then I'll
Yes,
reply.
I write it.
I'll
Yes.
take a look. I'll take a look
Okay, I sent it
at
now.
our
Thank you.
canvas now.
Or
But
I write it in the chat here as well. Easier for you, maybe.
inbox, right? Christian.
But I wrote it in the chat as well. Just after class, we could speak maybe.
Your full name is Christian.
Christian Bufe, Bufe,
Okay.
Bufe. That we could discuss after class.
No, I'm actually looking at your title
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Yeah. I will give you my comment regarding your title because you're also having phenomenological study, no?
Yes, so I
Sige.
changed it because I like the idea.
Okay. Okay, I'll reply
Okay.
after our class.
Thank you.
Sure, sure. I hope that's it for today, no? Maybe next time when I'm okay. I have already asked my dentist to extract my tooth. No, I'm done with my tooth problem, but I have sore throat. Thank you, and God bless you all, and good afternoon again. See you
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you,
next
God
Doc.
Saturday.
bless.
God bless.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Thank
Doc.
you.
Thank
Get
you.
well soon,
Yeah.
Doc.
Thank you,
yeah,
Doc.
yeah,
Doc.
Thank you po, Doc.
yeah.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Doc.
I'm actually very excited for this Saturday, but unfortunately, I can't control this to happen. No, I had sort. Yes, sunlight,
Yes, Doc. Good
sunlight.
afternoon again.
Yeah,
Doc,
good
ask ko
afternoon.
lang po yung mga recordings ng previous ano natin kasi I'm not quite sure where to find it. And I think some of my classmates are also looking for it in the chat.
When I look at the recordings, most of your classmates can access them. I think it's not anymore in my part because I assigned the recordings to all my students. Siguro you
Uh,
ask what do you call that?
IT.
Administrator,
Oh,
Canvas administrator, yes. Kasi if
uh,
your classmates can access the recordings, dapat all of you can access, right? Tama ba ako?
yes.
I'm not very particular with the
Absolutely.
technical aspect of the recordings, but I am very sure I assigned it to all my students.
Okay po. Thank you.
I'll 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 check it again after this.
Thank you po.
Okay, sige.
Bye.
So, ayaw ko may plus 150 ako doon.
Oh.
Paano ka bigay sa'yo?
Okay, so thank you all. See you next Saturday.
Thank you.